Stop wasting time and begin your journey to success. Be honest, how often have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," only for tomorrow to pass by just like today and yesterday? Maybe you're sitting here right now, phone in hand with dozens of undone intentions echoing in your mind, exercising, learning a new skill, calling a loved one, writing that plan, or simply cleaning the room you've been avoiding. You know you should do it. You feel you should do it, yet you don't. Day after day, those small bits of time are stolen, disappearing into the endless scroll of social media, into aimless conversations, into worrying more about other people's lives than your own. Time doesn't shout to warn you it's slipping away. It quietly leaves, taking your opportunities, dreams, and the best version of yourself. Wasting time doesn't just leave you behind, it erodes your trust in yourself. Every time you make a promise to yourself and break it, you silently strengthen a dangerous story in your head. I'm someone who never finishes. And once that story becomes the truth, you believe it will bind every opportunity in your future. Psychologists call this self-sabotage, not because you lack skill or opportunity, but because you've trained yourself to delay and make excuses. In Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius warned nearly 2,000 years ago, "You will never get this life again. So why live as if you had 1,000 years?" If these words feel like they're speaking directly to you, understand this. No one is coming to save you from this spiral of wasted time. There is no perfect moment to start, and there will be no bell ringing to tell you it's time to live your life. There is only one choice: start now. Even if you're not ready, even if you're still afraid, even if you're unsure where the path will lead. The longer you wait, the more you lose. When you lose time, you lose the one thing you can never get back. If what I've said is hitting you deeply, don't just nod and scroll on. Hit subscribe to Sovereign Stoic so that every day you have a reminder, a deep perspective, and one more step toward the life you deserve. Don't let today slip away like all the days before. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. Be good while you live, while it is in your power." This is not a threat, but a sober reminder we cannot control the length of our lives, but we can fully control how we live each day. Stoic philosophy does not ask you to rush through life, nor does it demand you throw yourself into everything as if tomorrow will vanish. It asks you to live with intention, purpose, and not waste a single moment you hold right now. Epictetus once said, "You cannot control what happens, but you can control how you respond." And among all the things we can control, our time is the most valuable asset. The problem is that most of us live as if tomorrow will always be there. We plan to meet friends next week, start a business plan next month, and take care of our health when work gets lighter. But next month, or when things slow down, often never comes. We become debtors to time, paying interest in regret and lost opportunities. From a psychological perspective, people often fall into a cognitive trap called temporal discounting, the tendency to undervalue the present and overestimate our ability to act in the future. Our brain convinces us that it will be easier to start later, but when later arrives, the energy, motivation, and opportunity are no longer what they were. This is why so many carry their dreams for a lifetime but never make them real. They wait until they are ready, and waiting is the fastest way to lose. For the Stoics, the phrase memento mori, remember you will die, is not meant to plant fear, but to free you from procrastination. It reminds you that life owes you no extra day, so you must use each one as if it were the last asset you own. When you truly grasp that you will not be here forever, you prioritize what matters. Cut away the meaningless waste and devote your energy to what creates lasting value. I have worked with many clients, from entrepreneurs and artists to those simply trying to find their way again, and I've seen one common thread: no one fails because they lack ideas or goals. They fail because they do not act while the moment is still in their hands. They think they have time, but time is the very thing quietly leaving them every day. Only when they look back do they see the true cost of delay, how many opportunities have vanished forever. In the next part, we will not stop at awareness. We will dive into 10 practical principles from Stoic philosophy, principles that help you stop wasting time and begin your journey to success. The eyes of others do not measure success, but success is measured by the peace, discipline, and inner strength you build each day. Lesson 1. Know what you can control. Stoic philosophy begins with a simple yet powerful principle, clearly distinguished between what you can control and cannot. Epictetus summed this up in the Enchiridion. Some things are up to us, some things are not. It sounds obvious, yet most of the time we live the opposite way, worrying about a future we cannot change, feeling anger over other people's behavior, and exhausting ourselves trying to manage everything around us. Think about how many hours this week you've spent replaying the same question in your head. What if? No matter how often you analyze those scenarios, they won't change reality. The irony is that the more energy you give to what you cannot control, the more you neglect the things you have the power to influence: your attitude, actions, and reactions. From a psychological perspective, trying to control what's beyond your reach is a form of useless stress. It drains your willpower, weakens decision-making, and can lead to learned helplessness. When the brain becomes accustomed to effort without results, it signals that nothing matters even when facing situations you can change. This is the vicious cycle that keeps so many people stuck. The Stoics broke this trap by practicing a mental exercise. Whenever facing a situation, they asked themselves, is this within my control or not? If the answer was no, they let it go immediately, not out of indifference, but because they knew any effort there would be wasted. On the other hand, if the answer was yes, they poured all their energy and attention into a specific action. For example, you can't control bad weather ruining your travel plans, but you can choose how to respond, find an alternative activity, or use the time to rest and read. You can't stop someone from speaking badly about you behind your back, but you can remain silent and let your actions speak for you. And in business, you can't control the market or a customer's decision, but you can control the quality of your product and the way you serve. This isn't easy because human beings crave the feeling of control. But if you practice sorting everything into two categories, within and beyond your control, you'll find your mind lighter, your focus sharper, and your energy freed to create tangible results. Your exercise for today is this: write down the 3 things that worry or frustrate you the most, then sort them. For those beyond your control, decide right now to stop investing energy into them. Instead, choose one concrete action for each item within your control and do it within the next 24 hours. When you live by this principle, you'll realize an important truth: controlling yourself is the most potent form of freedom. That is the first step to stop wasting time on meaningless battles and begin moving closer to your greatest goal. Lesson 2, cut out procrastination in your thinking and actions. If the first lesson helps you free up energy from what you cannot control, the next step is to use it immediately instead of letting it wither away in procrastination. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death is at your elbow. Let it determine what you do and say and think." In reality, procrastination is not just a bad habit. It is a silent thief stealing your opportunities, your health, and your confidence day by day. From a psychological perspective, people often procrastinate for 2 main reasons. Either the task feels too tricky and they don't know where to start, or they don't see an immediate reward. This ties in with how the brain processes dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to motivation. When the brain doesn't detect a clear or immediate reward, it directs you toward easier, more instantly gratifying, but less valuable activities like scrolling social media, watching short videos, or constantly checking emails. The Stoics did not allow themselves to be swept up in such distractions. They knew that every decision to delay was to surrender control of their time. Epictetus once said, "If you delay living rightly, you will live your whole life wrong." This doesn't mean working nonstop without rest. When you know what needs to be done, you begin immediately, even if it's the smallest step. For example, if you want to start exercising, don't wait until you've bought all the right clothes or equipment. Begin with a 10-minute walk today. If you want to start a business, don't wait for everything to be perfect. Write a basic plan and take one concrete action within 24 hours. Acting immediately creates momentum, and momentum is what breaks the heavy pull of procrastination. From my experience working with people in many different fields, I've noticed that the most successful are not the ones who are the most talented from the start. They are the ones who procrastinate the least. They don't wait for inspiration to act. They act to create inspiration. And they understand that the feeling of not being ready never truly disappears, so it's better to start before you think you're ready. One practical strategy I often recommend is the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. It sounds small, but these immediate actions accumulate into an instinctive habit that fights procrastination. Alongside this, set clear deadlines for everything you do, even personal tasks, and commit to them as if they were unbreakable promises. Today's exercise: choose one task you've been delaying for at least a week and do it today, not ideally start. Then write down how you felt after taking that first step. You'll realize the most challenging part of anything is starting. When you eliminate procrastination, you don't just save time, you open doors, boost your confidence, and create momentum that carries you toward your goals faster. And that's how you turn each day into a real step forward instead of another loop of "I'll do it tomorrow." Lesson 3, learn to say no to time-wasting things. If you've removed the procrastination habit, the next step is to protect your time from things that don't deserve it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you love life, don't waste time, because time is the stuff life is made of." In reality, we don't just waste time through procrastination, but also by saying yes to too many things that bring no real value. Saying yes too easily can make you a prisoner of other people's schedules. You agree to attend an unnecessary meeting, a social gathering you don't want, or take on extra tasks simply because you're afraid to say no. As a result, your time and energy are fragmented into small pieces, leaving you without enough to focus on your primary goals. From a psychological perspective, this often comes from fear of missing out, FOMO, or people-pleasing, the desire to make others happy. We fear losing an opportunity or disappointing someone if we refuse. But the paradox is, the more you try to please everyone, the further you drift from the life you want. The Stoics solved this by applying a value filter principle before agreeing to anything. Ask yourself, will this bring me closer to my goal? Does it align with my core values? If the answer is no, then refusing is wise. Epictetus once reminded us, if you want to improve, be prepared to be thought foolish, to be looked down on, and to refuse invitations others expect you to accept. A simple example: if you're building a business project and someone invites you to a multi-hour gathering unrelated to your goal, consider politely declining. Instead, you could use that time to improve your product, learn a new skill, or rest to restore your energy. I once coached a marketing director who constantly felt drained by his packed schedule. When we examined it closely, we discovered that 40% of his time was spent in unnecessary meetings and social events. After applying the value filter principle, he declined or delegated these commitments. He gained more time for long-term strategy and personal life, which he previously claimed he had no time for. Today's exercise: write down all the activities you did over the past week, from work to leisure. Highlight those that truly bring long-term value. For the rest, ask yourself, what would happen if I didn't do this? If the answer is nothing serious, confidently cut or reduce it. When you learn to say no to what doesn't matter, you're saying yes to the life you want. And each time you refuse wisely, you're buying back the most valuable asset, time, which no one can sell you. Lesson 4, train daily self-discipline. Once you've learned to say no to what's unimportant, the next step is committing fully to what truly matters: self-discipline. In Stoic philosophy, discipline is not a harsh external force, but an inner commitment to your guiding principles. Seneca once said, "Freedom is voluntary discipline." It may sound paradoxical, but discipline is what frees you from chaos, procrastination, and temptation. Self-discipline is not just about following a fixed schedule. It's the ability to keep promises to yourself even when no one is watching. It's waking up at the time you said you would, training when your body wants to rest, or finishing the project when fatigue tries to pull you away from the desk. The Stoics understood that each act of discipline is a brick in the structure of your character. From a psychological perspective, self-discipline is strengthened through conscious repetition. When you repeatedly choose the right action over the easy one, you rewire your brain, building stronger neural pathways for positive habits. And every time you keep your discipline, you're not just completing a task, you're reinforcing the belief that you are someone you can rely on. A real-life example: I once worked with a young athlete who often skipped training because he wasn't in the mood. Applying Stoic methods, we removed the need to wait for motivation and replaced it with the principle, just start for 5 minutes. The result: 90% of the time, he completed the full session once he began. This proved that discipline is not a feeling, but an action taken regardless of feeling. Discipline also requires balance. Marcus Aurelius warned that being overly rigid can lead to burnout. Stoics maintain discipline as a sustainable rhythm, not a sprint. They know when to push past their limits and when to stop and restore their energy. One effective practice is to systematize discipline instead of relying on pure willpower. Create an environment that supports it. If you want to eat healthy, keep good food in sight and remove junk food from your home. If you're going to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. If you want to read, daily place a book where you'll easily see it and silence phone notifications during your reading time. Today's exercise, choose one habit you want to build or strengthen. Write down clearly why you want it, the long-term benefits, and small specific steps to do it each day. Then commit to trying it for 7 consecutive days without skipping. Review your progress at the end of the week and adjust if necessary. When you train discipline daily, you don't just become more effective, you become stronger against temptation and challenge. This is one of the most solid foundations for lasting success because without discipline, every plan remains just a dream. Lesson 5. Focus deeply on what truly matters. Discipline keeps you committed, but you must learn the art of deep focus to make extraordinary progress. In a world constantly distracted by notifications, messages, and social media, the ability to concentrate has become a rare competitive advantage. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not allow your mind to be dragged about by your impulses like a puppet. Keep it where it should be." This is not just advice, it's a survival strategy. Deep focus is the ability to devote your full attention to an essential task for an extended period without interruption. Researcher Cal Newport calls this the superpower of the 21st century because it allows you to produce high-quality results in less time than scattered work. The Stoics practiced this thousands of years ago, even without giving it a modern name. They understood that when the mind is fragmented, you waste energy on things that create no value. From a psychological standpoint, the brain needs about 15 to 20 minutes to reach peak concentration. Every interruption forces you to spend time getting back into that state, and sometimes you never truly recover it. That's why it's critical to create a distraction-free zone when working. Turn off notifications, keep your phone out of reach, and only open materials relevant to the task. A real example, I once coached a young entrepreneur who felt busy all day but achieved little. Using deep focus methods, he began dedicating the first 90 minutes of each morning to his most crucial task: no emails, no social media. Within 3 weeks, his productivity doubled, and he realized that most of what he once considered urgent was not worth prioritizing. The Stoics also taught that focus is not just a work skill, it's a life skill. If you're in conversation with someone, but your mind is elsewhere, you're not truly present. If you're walking outside, but your eyes are glued to your phone, you miss moments of peace and you'll never get back. Seneca once said, "No one is busier than people who do nothing. They rush from one thing to another, but accomplish nothing." A powerful way to practice is the 3-priority rule. Each day, choose no more than 3 most important tasks to complete and focus on them first. Don't let a long to-do list overwhelm and scatter you. When you finish these 3, you've already succeeded for the day. Everything else is just a bonus. Today's exercise, identify your most important task, MIT for tomorrow. Prepare everything you need tonight and dedicate your first block of time in the morning to it without allowing any distractions. Record how you feel once you've completed it before noon. Deep focus doesn't just help you get more done, it enables you to live more fully. When you're 100% present in each moment, you feel the value of time and turn every hour and minute into a meaningful piece of your journey towards success. Lesson 6. Persevere through hardship and challenges. Deep focus will help you create value, but the road to success is never smooth. There will be moments when you fail, face rejection, or encounter obstacles that make you want to give up. This is when perseverance, a core value of Stoic philosophy, becomes decisive. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show a person's true nature." Perseverance is not unthinkingly clinging to a wrong goal, but the ability to keep moving forward when the right path becomes difficult. The Stoics understood that every challenge carries a lesson and an opportunity to strengthen inner resilience. When you accept that hardship is inevitable, you are no longer shocked or hopeless when it appears. From a psychological perspective, perseverance is closely tied to the growth mindset, the belief that effort and learning can improve skills and abilities. For those with this mindset, failure is not the end, but feedback to adjust their course. A real example, one of my clients failed twice in business. The first time he gave up after the first significant setback. The second time, he stubbornly kept the same flawed strategy, which led to another collapse. But on his third attempt, he applied Stoic principles, accepting difficulty, analyzing causes, and adjusting step by step. The result was a stable company and a deep, lasting confidence from within. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Be like the rock against which the waves break. It stands firm and the raging sea falls still around it." This is not a call to stand motionless and take the blows. It is a reminder that your mind can remain steady even when the world around you is in turmoil. To cultivate perseverance, you need a clear goal, a flexible plan, and the ability to recover from failure. A clear goal tells you where you're heading. A flexible plan lets you adapt your tactics when needed. And the ability to recover ensures you keep moving forward even when things don't go as expected. A helpful practice is keeping a perseverance journal each evening. Write down one difficult situation from the day and how you responded. Evaluate whether your response brought you closer to or further from your goal. Over time, you'll see that many challenges that once caused extreme stress are small bumps. Today's exercise, think about an important goal you abandoned. Write down why you quit, then identify how to approach it again with a new mindset and strategy. If it still holds value, commit to trying once more, but this time with a steadier and more deliberate approach. When you persevere, you get past hardship and turn it into a launching pad. And when you look back, you'll see that the harshest trials were the very things that shaped you into the strong, successful person you've become. Lesson 7, let go of what you cannot control. You can be disciplined, focused, and persistent, yet you will still face situations where no effort can change the outcome. This is when Stoic philosophy offers one of its most vital principles: care only about what is within your control and release the rest. Epictetus put it plainly, some things are yours and some are not. Happiness comes from knowing the difference. Many people drain themselves trying to control what is beyond their reach, the thoughts of others, the outcome of a project or random events. When what they want doesn't happen, they feel disappointed, angry, even hopeless. But the truth is those reactions only make things worse and steal the energy that could have been used to act effectively within their sphere of control. From a psychological perspective, trying to control the uncontrollable leads to chronic stress and feelings of helplessness. In contrast, focusing on what you can act upon keeps you proactive and preserves your sense of inner power. For example, you cannot decide tomorrow's weather, but you can prepare a raincoat. You cannot make someone like you, but treat them kindly and respect yourself. A real story, one of my clients was obsessed with what others thought of him. He constantly adjusted his words, actions, and lifestyle to be accepted. But this only made him lose his identity and feel empty. When he applied the Stoic principle, he began focusing on his values, acting according to his standards, and accepting that others would have their own opinions. The result was that he felt lighter and more confident, and his relationships became more authentic. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is not just philosophy, it is a life skill. Whenever you face a situation beyond your control, ask yourself, which part of this can I influence? Then give all your energy to that part and release the rest. A simple exercise for this is the two-circle method. Draw a small circle inside a larger one. Write what you can control in the small circle, your actions, words, attitude, time, and skills. In the large circle, write what you cannot control, other people's opinions, the weather, the past, and the outcome. Whenever worry strikes, look back at this diagram to remind yourself. Today's exercise, think of a problem currently worrying you. Make 2 columns, what I can control and what I cannot control. Commit to acting only on the first column and consciously accept letting go of the second. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means you stop wasting strength on the impossible and channel all your power into what's truly in your hands. Doing this will make your mind grow lighter, more transparent, and freer than ever. Lesson 8, manage your emotions to stay calm in any situation. Letting go of what you cannot control is the first step to a lighter mind. However, to maintain initiative in your actions, you need another skill: emotional management. The Stoics believed emotions are not the enemy, But if you let them lead, you'll be swept into impulsive decisions and regret. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you think about it that makes you suffer." Managing emotions doesn't mean suppressing them or pretending you don't feel anything. On the contrary, it's the ability to recognize emotions as soon as they arise, understand their cause, and choose the correct response. In modern psychology, this is emotional intelligence, an ability proven to have more influence than IQ in achieving success and sustaining long-term happiness. Think about the last time you got angry and reacted immediately. Maybe you said something you later regretted or made a poor decision. In that moment, your emotions controlled you instead of vice versa. The Stoics trained themselves by creating a pause between emotion and action. This pause might only be a few seconds, but it's enough to ask yourself, will this reaction bring me closer to my goal? A real story. One of my clients, a mid-level manager at a tech company, was constantly under pressure from deadlines and internal conflicts. In the past, when a colleague made a mistake, he would immediately lash out, which strained relationships and lowered team morale. After learning to identify and manage his emotions, he started applying the breathe before speaking rule. Whenever frustration hit, he took 10 seconds to breathe deeply and slowly before responding. The result was that not only did work flow more smoothly, but he was also valued more for his composure. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, if someone can provoke you, realize that you are complicit in your anger. This isn't to blame you, but to emphasize that control over your emotions is always in your hands. No one can take it from you unless you allow it. A simple technique to practice is emotional labeling. When you notice a strong emotion, anger, fear, sadness, say in your mind, I am feeling angry instead of I am angry. This subtle shift helps you separate yourself from the emotion, reminding you that feelings are temporary states, not your identity. Today's exercise: in the next 24 hours, notice every moment you feel a strong emotion. Pause for at least 5 seconds before reacting and ask yourself, what am I feeling? What's causing it? Which response will bring long-term benefit? Write down your observations at the end of the day. When you master your emotions, you avoid poor decisions and radiate calm to those around you. And sometimes that calm presence becomes the strength that earns you more respect and trust than any words could. Lesson 9, keep discipline even when no one is watching. Once you've learned to let go of what you cannot control and manage your emotions, the next step toward lasting success is discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, especially when no one is watching. The Stoics saw discipline as a pillar of freedom because if you cannot master yourself, you become a slave to bad habits and impulsive emotions. Seneca once wrote, "Freedom is not for the indulgent." He meant that true freedom comes when you willingly set limits for yourself and follow them, not when you do whatever you want. Someone without discipline may enjoy temporary comfort, but will eventually pay the price in health, career, and relationships. From a psychological perspective, discipline is tied to self-control and habit formation. Studies show that when an action is repeated long enough, it becomes an automatic habit, no longer dependent on fleeting motivation. This is why successful people often build systems instead of relying solely on inspiration. A real example: I once worked with a young entrepreneur full of passion. He always had new ideas, but often abandoned them halfway. When he applied Stoic principles, he started setting a fixed daily work schedule regardless of mood. Instead of waiting for inspiration, he focused on completing small, consistent parts of the work. After 1 year, his business not only survived, but grew steadily, and he realized that success didn't come from one big breakthrough, but from daily persistence. Marcus Aurelius also reminded, act like a soldier standing guard even when no one is watching. This means your actual value is measured by what you do when no one sees you. To build discipline, start with small, repeatable daily actions. Wake up simultaneously, exercise for 10 minutes, read 20 pages, or write in a journal. The goal is not to do as much as possible right away, but to build a chain of small wins so your mind becomes accustomed to honoring your commitments. A helpful technique is the 2-minute rule when starting a new habit. Commit to doing it for just 2 minutes daily. This lowers initial resistance, and you'll often keep going longer once you begin. Today's exercise: choose one action you know will improve your life if done consistently. Set a fixed time for it and stick to it for the next 7 days, regardless of mood or circumstances. After a week, review your progress and adjust to keep it going. Discipline is what keeps you moving forward when motivation fades. It is the bridge between goals and results, between words and actions. And when you maintain discipline, even when no one is watching, you become someone you can trust, which is the foundation of all lasting success. Lesson 10, act now, don't wait for the perfect moment. Many people have dreams, plans, and even the knowledge to execute them, yet remain stuck. The reason isn't a lack of ability. They're waiting for the perfect moment, when life is stable, when they feel 100% ready, or when the right opportunity appears. The Stoics would tell you that moment will never come. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, do not dream of a life you don't have. Use the time you have to act. If you wait until every condition is favorable before you begin, you could waste your entire life without taking a single step. The only thing you truly have is the present moment, and your power lies in how you use it. In psychology, this is known as perfectionist procrastination, a mental trap that convinces you it's logical to delay starting when you avoid the fear of failure. A real example, a friend of mine always wanted to start a YouTube channel to share his knowledge, but he kept waiting until he could buy a better camera, edit more professionally, and have free time. 3 years later, he still hadn't posted a single video. Meanwhile, another person started with only a phone and light from a window. Their channel grew to hundreds of thousands of subscribers by posting consistently and learning from each upload. The Stoics teach that you cannot control the future, but can control your actions now. No matter how small, every step forward is better than standing still. Seneca once said, while you delay, life speeds beyond. The longer you wait, the more time you lose, the one resource you can never get back. To overcome this barrier, apply the principle of starting with what you have. Use your tools, skills, and time to create small results. Then improve along the way. Starting is the hardest part, but momentum will carry you forward once you do. A helpful technique is the 72-hour rule. When you have an idea or plan, take at least one concrete step toward it within 72 hours. If you don't, chances are you never will. Today's exercise, choose a goal you've been delaying for a long time. Please write down the simplest possible action today to get closer to it. Once you complete it, follow with the next step tomorrow. Remember, time is not standing still. Every day you hesitate, your dream moves further away. You don't need to be ready, you need to start to become prepared. And as the Stoics remind us, the moment you act is the perfect moment. Summary of 10 lessons. Stop wasting time. Start your journey to success. Looking back on the path we've just walked, you may realize that the Stoic principles are not just beautiful words to hang on a wall, but essential tools to stop losing your days to meaningless drift. These 10 lessons don't stand alone. They weave together, support each other, and form a solid foundation for anyone ready to break free from the spiral of procrastination and start taking action. The first lesson reminds you to identify and release what you cannot control, because any effort to change the outside world, it is pointless if your mind is still chained to things beyond your reach. Then you learn to manage your energy and focus, because while time is finite, your energy determines how much you can accomplish. Lessons 3 and 4 take you into the discipline of the mind and emotions, training you to respond with clarity instead of reacting on impulse. The fifth lesson emphasizes the power of small daily actions, humble but consistent steps that will always outlast grand plans that never begin. From there, you move into lessons 6 and 7, cutting out the noise, keeping life simple so your mind stays clear, and avoiding comparison to protect your inner peace. Lesson 8 teaches patience and trust in the process, never forcing time, but never stopping your progress. Lesson 9 reminds you that proper discipline is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. Finally, Lesson 10 shatters the illusion of the perfect moment, helping you see that starting now is the only starting point you'll ever have. Practice together, these 10 lessons will turn your time into an asset rather than a burden. They'll help you live not just busy, but in real progress, step by step, steady and intentional. And now you must ask yourself, where will you begin? How many more days will you let pass before you act? Choose one thing, just one, and do it today. Don't let tomorrow become the graveyard of your dreams. If this video has resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a loved one, or even the version of you from yesterday. If you want to continue building unshakable inner strength, iron discipline, and a mind that cannot be moved, subscribe to Sovereign Stoic. This will be the place you return to whenever you need a quiet yet powerful reminder to keep pushing forward.